We're continuing our series of interviews with members of the great four in a row minor winning championship panels of 79 to the 82. Tonight we're joined by Mr. Brian Tuohy, now a Sligo resident, but once a happy son of Erin. He was a core member of that group and kind of soldiered in midfield, and obviously went on to represent his county as well, in a kind of storied career. So, what we might do is we'll just take it from the start, Brian. Maybe yourself even getting started in football. What are your first memories of football to start with, like?
Probably back in 73, 74. The LaSalle brothers would have been in charge of the 73 on the 12 team. That would have been our first taste of success with Arua, and that would have followed actually from of course Donegal had won the first senior Ulster title in 72, and we would have had big interest in that, and there was big local representation between Bundoran and Ballyshannon. Think of all those great players, and some of them unfortunately no longer around there. I think Ray Sheeran would have been in that squad, now deceased, and Thomas Quinn, great fella. Two of them were great. Alan Kane, and the likes of Porrick McShee and Martin Carney and Red Sean was knocking about there as well, I think, and Shane McGranahan, Brian McNiff, all these guys that were serious players, and we, because they were local men, we had a big interest. Now I know Tom Daly's very much involved in the club there. I would have spent a lot of time kicking football around at the front of Daly's with Michael and Hugh and Tom, and we would have been playing these games before they were played. And of course, Donegal were always winning those games. So, we were playing different characters. Martin Carney one day, and Brian McInniff another day, and McShee another day, and somebody being goals to be Alan Kane. Of course, and that team did very well in the All-Ireland semi-final. They were a bit unlucky, lost against Offaly, and Offaly brought Kerry Tuohy playing, beat them and won the All-Ireland, so Donegal were very close that time, and then of course they were back in 74. So in 74, Jackie McDermott, Jackie took the team on, and he managed and trained, and he had a few people assisting him in the background, and my father being one, and John Travers would have been there, and I remember Pierce McMahon and Matt Gallagher's father, Tommy, would have been ferrying us to games, and there were a small core group of people, but Jackie was driving us, and it was good crack, and we were successful. We won. I think we beat St. Eunan's in 74, won the community games under 13s in 75, and we were beaten controversial circumstances above in Nisnaski, where a ball was kicked wide, and a Ballybay man kicked it out through the back of the goals, and the referee awarded them a goal, which wasn't a goal. Actually won it. It was our first taste of that, so that was a wee bit hard to take, that one, because we were probably good enough to win that, and God knows where it would have gone to, In 76, I think we missed out on the under 14. I missed that. I missed that game. Lost against Sturdraw, I think. And 78, we won the county under 16 title, and I can't remember who was captain of that team. I might have been captain of that team myself, actually, and I can't remember now for sure, but could be wrong on that. In 79, then we played St. Eunan's. Now St. Eunan's, John had won the Ulster Colleges senior final, beat us that year, beat De La Salle that year. They went on and won the All-Ireland Colleges, and there was 4 points in it, tight game. And I remember Jerry and Martin Williamson, the late Martin Williamson, who was a very big player for us along with Jerry, and they were well marshalled that day now. And I think in the minor final later that year, we were playing St. Eunan's again, basically the two same teams, but we had the addition of Sylvester, who was making big inroads at that stage. He was a big player, and he was in the vocational, but he was available for the Ballyshannon minor team, Airua, and we beat St. Junans in a tight game in Ballybofey. I think there was a point in it, and Jerry was playing in midfield actually that day, and I think that
Yeah.
wasn't an accident. I don't think that was an accident. I think he was. It allowed him with more space, and it was hard to pin him down maybe, and he played well that day now, and tight game. Now, I don't remember much about it now. I think I got a point or two myself, but we had Porrick and Matt from Neve Breed, Porrick Gallagher, unfortunately Porrick died tragically in the States back about 6 years ago, and Martin Williamson. Dara Daly was captain of that team, very good, solid, sturdy defender. Dara, fine fella, and he was captain, and we won it, and that was a big win. And of course, we were delighted. But we were back in the final again the following year. Very strong teams now at minor level that time. Four Masters were very strong. Our Drow were coming. St. Junans were always strong. And we beat Four Masters in the 1980 final in Fintra. Not our favourite venue, but we beat them narrowly. I think Ian Doyle came on and contributed a goal and a point. Maybe he had a big impact when he came in. I think he'd been injured before that, but he was good. Tasty footballer too. Hard to pin down, But I think Sylvester got a goal. That day. He launched the ball from the middle of the pitch and it found its way into the back of the net anyway, I think. But we won it. I think it was. There wasn't much in it now. As I said, Four Masters had a serious team. Like there was a lot of county minor team that year. There was a lot of players from Four Masters and St. Junans and Ballyshannon. I think from that De La Salle squad, I think there was about 6 or 7 in that county minor squad. Maybe 4 or 5 of them playing. We were unlucky that year to be beating the Ulster semi-final right in the middle of the leaving cert. That's my excuse anyway. But we probably should have done another year at school because the football was taken over, I suppose, and it was time. Probably could have spent more time with the books, maybe, but you're not complaining now at this stage anyway.
Well, as I say, we'll maybe go back to '79, and as you allude to, there was a sequence of kind of wins being strung together there, kind of between the school and club, but that doesn't guarantee success at minors. Minors is a different grade, boys are starting to become men, and the big lad at under 14 starts to become just an average fella at minor. Whenever you got across the line in that first minor final, do you have any specific recollections of kind of the feelings and kind of I suppose for the people in the town it would have meant a lot too.
Oh yeah, that was a big thing because I'd have to say also, John, De La Salle had won 2 Ulster titles at under 15, and we won an under 17 Ulster title. And I mean, most of those teams, the bulk of them were from Airua. It was Emil McHugh there from Clifton. He was a very good player, but most of the players would have been played with Airua, including Martin Williamson, 2 Gallaghers, and we got used to winning, and we went out to play. We weren't thinking of not winning, but we had to fight bloody hard to win those games, and they were hard, tight affairs, and physical, but not dirty. I suppose we might have encountered a bit more of the rough stuff later on when we got on the senior, but a lot of those fellas that would have been playing at that time, I remember Sylvester myself, been playing midfield for the senior team, maybe around 1980, 81, around that time, and we were only cubs really,
Yeah.
But it takes a few years now to gain a little bit of strength to compete with some of these, fully grown adults and that, But we had good people in charge that kept us focused on the football. we could have straightened out the direction very easily. I suppose there was lots of things going on, but we were very focused on Gaelic football. That was our main outlet, really, you know.
Yeah.
And
I suppose kind
we
of
have to
one
be
of the
very
main,
grateful. We have to
yeah,
be very grateful, John, really, for the people that were there at the time.
yeah,
Unfortunately, some of them aren't around anymore, you know.
yeah.
So
I suppose Ray Sheeran was
without
one of those.
those people in the club, they wouldn't have we wouldn't have had any success beyond that, you know,
Yeah,
at club or county level, you know, and a lot of credit goes to them.
yeah. I suppose kind of one of those people would be Ray Sheeran. He's passed on, and he would have been manager of those.
Ray was a great fella. Good
Yeah,
time for Ray.
yeah,
He was a
yeah,
good crack and serious man and a big club stalwart. He put in serious efforts with the club both as a player and a manager, you know, and very much involved in club affairs as well. You can remember up at the bingo, you know, helping out at nights there fairly regularly. No, I didn't play bingo, but I used to see him going in and coming out. We would have been kicking football in the fair green, maybe. But he was very down to earth, Ray, now, and he's a good fella. And himself and Teddy
yeah,
did a good job now. 79, 80. Jackie would have been in the background there. And Josie came in later then with Teddy and continued the success, you know.
yeah,
So big achievement now, you know. I mean, yep, one game at a time, and to think about that going on for 4 years and to be successful over 4 years back to back, and maybe not that far away for a couple of years after that. But yeah, senior success followed. We were beaten in, I think we were beaten in 2 or 3 county semi-finals before we actually won it in '86.
mhm,
I remember a stalwart from Kilcar saying to me there some time back, met him years later, retired. He says, you couldn't play football with that Ballyshannon team. You couldn't let them play. Should destroy you.
mm, mm,
So, you know, there were various tactics used to counteract, because I suppose it was all football with ourselves, you know, but we had to develop a hard edge now to compete at senior level as well.
mm.
We could we could tell you a few stories there, but we won't go into that.
Like I think you know that kind of went to maybe county boards, administration, and referees maybe necessarily didn't give us the hearing that we should have had at times too. I think from some of the stories that I've heard.
I remember Sylvester asking a certain referee in a senior championship match playoff down in Fintra. Who was it against? Glenclonkill. And the game was moved to Fintra. However that happened, because it was supposed to be in Ballybofey, I think. But anyway, I remember Sylvester asking the referee, because right beside him he said, "Hey, Jesus, you going to give us anything after another decision didn't come our way?" And the referee said back to him, "Not a effing thing."
Yeah,
That was some mouthful to come out from a ref, but that was the way it was.
yeah. Well, like,
Unbelievable.
in the end, he did get across the line in '86. Like I suppose, and kind of
86,
like both,
87, but we,
yeah, the fact there was no a couple of years of minors were kind of coming onto the scene as well, and probably did by force numbers eventually get us over the line in '86.
yeah, yeah. And I mean, as I say, the team were used to winning, but we had Mickey and PJ Buggy were involved 85, 86, 87, 88. And I mean, they were serious operators, you know. And I suppose it took a fair bit of work to keep us focused, because we had been beaten, as I said, in 2 or 3 semi-finals before that. And, you know, I suppose the nature of things around Ballyshannon and employment and everything else, you know, there was always a likelihood that players could end up maybe transferring, and we didn't want to lose players. And we were trying to keep things together. So it took a lot of work by PJ Buggy and Mickey McClune to keep that squad together. But we did have success, and a lot of those players, as you said, came from the minor teams, the 4 teams, because some of the lads would have been involved in all 4 minor wins. I think possibly Brian Murray, and I think Conor Boyle was there. I think my brother Paul was involved in 3 of them. You know, the likes of Gary Walsh would have been involved in a good maybe 3 or 4 of them as well. And you know, without that background, the senior success mightn't have come, because we had that kind of a winning kind of focus. We didn't think of, we never really contemplated losing games when we were being successful like that. But it took us a while at senior level to get over that hump. But we, as I said to you, maybe we were a wee bit too soft, naive. We were too um, clear, clean, and in a way we had to harden up and get a wee bit more ruthless and not be pushed about. That's we had that. We just had to do it and managed. We managed to get there, thankfully. At least we had two senior titles to look back on. From that time, I think we probably should have won more with that squad before it broke up. And we lost the likes of Brian then the civil service, and Gary went to Burn, and Tommy was over in London working at the time. And looking back, we probably should have managed to pluck another few county titles before all things went away. Sean Slevin Jr. came in then. He was another man that was involved in those squads as well. The late Sean Slevin Jr. And I suppose you can't think of matters of Erua, fond memories of Sean Slevin Sr., Phil McLoone, lots of other people that were knocking about and encouraging us, through all the age groups and at senior level as well. And they walked tall when we were winning. That's for sure. They were proud men, and we were very happy. So
One of the questions I was thinking of was, I know you referenced kind of the likes of Park and Shay and Martin Carney and all those kind of legends that you were looking up to whenever you were young. Did you ever kind of, you said back in, 86, 87 kind of era, kind of, did you have a consciousness that you were also kind of a model for young players coming through, like, and subsequently era did come back through again in the 90s, like in 94 and 97, 98, like, and go on to win further championships. Was that something that you ever give a thought to?
I should have given it more thought than I did, but I do remember that there was lots of young lads that were involved with the club at underage level. The late Kieran Keown, I remember watching them playing. I think it was an under-16 game. And I liked the look of him. He'd cut to him. We were playing a senior game or maybe a replay down in Kilcara against Ardra at the time. I think it was 86. And I think the era under-16 team right before that. So, you had lots of young lads like that coming up. And whether we were models for them or not, I don't know. Maybe we were, but I suppose looking back, that anybody that would have been interested in football would have been, they would have been following us the same way we would have followed those lads, senior players that I mentioned earlier. But I suppose at the time you don't really realise it. We would have seen some of those young lads playing. But we were so involved, and there was a lot of preparation as well, so we didn't get a chance maybe to watch all those lads. And I was in Sligo, and all the lads were elsewhere, Dublin, and so we didn't get to an awful lot of those games. We would have seen some of them, and I suppose the fact that we were there watching them would have given them a wee bit of lift as well. So I suppose when you think about it, probably make a stand to reason, because we'd have been watching some of those St. Joseph's greats and Donegal greats when we were very young, 11 and 12 years of age, getting up to the park, maybe getting in over the wall, being chased by the likes of Sean Slevin. He'd probably be afraid that we'd be falling off the wall or something. It wasn't because we weren't paying, but we were trying to get into all those games because we had an interest from a very young age, I suppose. And I suppose a lot of those young fellas that you're referring to may have been doing the same thing, and they might have been known. It mightn't have been known to us at the time, but more than likely it was the case, So I don't know if that answers your question or not.
So, like, maybe looking back to the 79, 82 era, when you're kind of, I suppose in your case 79 and 80, do you have any particular standout memories from those kind of couple of years as a minor? Like, I know it was obviously very formative experiences in any young lad's career.
Standout memories. Not really, no. Just that they were tight battles, low scoring games. We had to be we had to be at it. We had to be right up for the game because if we weren't, we wouldn't have won those games. As I said, St. John's and Four Masters were serious teams at that time. So we had many battles with them, around that time and before it, and we knew that we were going to have to be right up for those games. And in fairness, people that were over, Spray and Teddy, and they had us primed for those games. Of course, the late Peter Ferguson would always be in the background, giving his bit of advice. Get switched on, son. Come on. So he was gas, man. He's so funny, and anybody that would have been watching the Rua games back that time, and spectators would have nearly gone to see Elvis as much as gone to see the football because he was an entertaining man. He used to come out with some classics, and we would have heard them even on the field playing. We shouldn't have been, but you couldn't avoid it. His voice carried a lot, but he was good crack.
In terms of going on to like play county, like did you think those kind of hard struggles that seem were maybe characteristic of kind of Donegal football at that stage, like it was at a high level, that did that stand you kind of whenever you went on to pull on the green and gold?
Um, yeah, I suppose. Look, being successful at underage level and coming through at senior level, you were putting yourself in the shop window. I suppose the first time we were pulled together as a county team was at under 16 level. We would have played a number of games against Ulster opposition, and Dublin actually came down to Letterkenny and played us at under 16 level in Letterkenny, and we managed to play them, get a return game at Dublin in Croke Park in 1978. And it was our first opportunity at county level for a lot of fellas from the different clubs to be pulled together. Four Masters, Letterkenny, Ardra, Ballyshan, the likes of Matt, Porrick. We were all pulled together, and it was unbelievable to be representing your county and to be given a jersey. That was a huge thing, and that would have followed. Then I would have played minor, Tommy and Matt, for a couple of years. 1979 and 1980, that county minor teams, and was subsequently into the 21 team in 81, 82, 83. We won up in 82, went all the way, won the All Ireland. And I don't think any of those successes would have happened without the club and college's success before that. We were unlucky in 81. Joe Winston was in charge of that Donegal team. And we lost Big Pat McRae, who is now deceased as well, God rest him. And Pat was injured, and Anthony Molloy got injured before that game, and we missed them badly. We were beaten by a point or two above him, I think it was Irvinstown, against Monaghan. Monaghan teams in Liskeard didn't go well. But we won it in 1982, and it was a lot of tight games again. And then, of course, a lot of fellas at various stages represented the senior team. And the lucky few were still there battling in 1992, and they managed to get across the line in the senior and win sound for the first time. And many others, including myself, missed out on that one. But we can't complain too much. We didn't do too badly from our footballing days. Take out all the injuries and an odd suspension here and there, I suppose. But we didn't do too badly, I suppose. You just have good memories, I suppose, from the fellas you played with, particularly the club. Things were quite tight, We didn't really fight with one another now. We might have an odd falling out, but we were fairly tight now, fairly tight group. In my experience of being involved in 79, 80 with that, the 4 in a row minors, that followed it, no doubt, in 81, 82. And it went on into county level as well. We had great respect for one another, and it was a good old bond there, And there was good people in charge, of course. There was serious men in charge of those teams as well. So I suppose success doesn't come unless you have some kind of structure at underage level and dedicated people involved in coaching and keeping fellas on track and keeping them focused. And if you're going to have any chance of success, you have to have those basics in place. You have to have a bunch of people that are willing to put their shoulder to the wheel and look after young lads and young girls that are involved, and keep them safe and keep them focused on the football. And success doesn't come without those things. And there's a steady. You mightn't see it at the time. I've been involved in a wee bit of that myself up this way, and it's you have to be thinking of the long term thing, I suppose. And it can be certainly, I'd say, get frustrating at times. But for anyone that's involved, I'd say just keep at it. Try and keep encouraging those that are involved and give them help and support them, and hopefully there'll be a wee bit of success following them with the club teams.
I think there's probably useful lessons there even for like the club today. So I was actually looking at a bit of video there from after the Argyle game, and it was funny. I think it might have been posted by Michael Taylor, but it's showing Jackie McDermott, and you can just see the kind of character he was. Like this wasn't a guy who was taking anything terribly seriously. But everybody he talked to references him as somebody who's so influential on bringing doing so much for bringing underage structures up. I think it does. There's a lesson there in that you don't have to be a harsh martinet kind of type person. Somebody with a bit of humanity, sense of humor, bit of devilment. Even is somebody who can be so influential.
Oh yeah, but you need characters, and Jackie was certainly a character and a shrewd operator. And, like John Travers, serious man now, very smart, tuned into everything that was going on. Ray Sheeran, Teddy Kane, Josie Boyle, those boys knew their football, and how to look after fellas and encourage them. Now, Tom McMahon would have a memory there where he would have had crosswords with Ray Sheeran way back, and I think it might have been the 1980 year, but I can't remember Ray ever being cross with me anyway, or ever really. But Tom Cullen at schools level, very shrewd, witty. He could really put his finger on things, and he could put you on the spot at times with just one word, and a lot of the time it was encouragement as well, and sometimes, he knew when to press the right buttons and when a fella needed a bit of praise. But as players, I suppose we were lucky that we had the people that we had that were kind of involved now, maybe didn't fully appreciate it at the time, but when you look back and think about all those great people, you just have to say it and acknowledge it. I think is important, hopefully there's a good few of them around still, and I hope they get a chance to, bask and enjoy some of the positive feedback at this late stage. So
I suppose that's great, Brian. It's been brilliant catching up with you. Might wrap up with this one. I suppose we've got the dinner dance on Saturday evening. Is there anybody looking particularly to put a big shoulder on?
Yeah, I see Sylvester fairly often, and the likes of Mark Cleary and those lads around town, when I'm down. But the fellas that are away, no, I think Tom McMahon is abroad presently, won't be there. And it would have been good to see him, enjoy a bit of banter. And Tommy and Matt and lads like that, and like Brian and Gary and all that crew. If they're there it'd be good. Maybe, hopefully, we'll get, and Ewan Doyle, of course, and Conor Boyle, and all of the lads. Unfortunately, there's a few that won't be there. And Pádraig Gallagher, Dara Daly, Martin Williamson. You know, three great fellas, very good footballers, really good footballers, you know. And unfortunately, they've passed away at our young ages, you know. And when we think of them, we think of all the other people that are no longer around, you know. And Tom, Colin, Jackie, my father. You know, yeah, I can never not think of those people when there are things like this happening, you know. So I hope, I'm sure everybody else is the same, you know. So it's just to remember those people as well, you know.
Well, here, Brian, I'd like to thank you again for your time, and sure, here we'll catch up again on Saturday night, and looking forward to
Hopefully
it.
see you then, John. Yeah. Okay. Thanks a lot.
All the best.
All the best.